1. Hey guys, it's time to begin. It's time for Bollocks. This evening we have a very special guest in. We have Teresa Andrews in from Epic and Big Brothers and Big Sisters. We're going to get to that interview in just a little bit. Lenny's over here studying his reads so he nails them to a T. But Lenny, how you doing
I'll
today?
try. I'm doing great, thanks.
No jet lag from the trip at all?
Nope. You know, it was great. We were in bed early a couple of nights because we were there for 10 hours during the day. I mean, the show started at noon, and, you know, they went till 11 o'clock. And I will tell you, the Meriwether Post Pavilion did a great job with this thing. I mean, we saw 10 bands in 2 days, and the potential was there. You could have seen like 18 bands in 2 days.
Wow.
If you started at noon. We picked up the bands at about 3 in the afternoon. It was a little easier.
Just talking about that, I need a nap.
Yeah. It was great. And the weather held out. We were expecting thunderstorms. I mean, but you know what? Except for one misty bit for a little while, it was great.
I got Mr. Spam calling me on the radio. You think I should take that?
It depends. It could be interesting.
Spam risky.
You could have won $1 billion.
Ooh, I wonder if I just gave that up.
Oh, well, you know, the Nigerian prince will call you back.
Next go round. All right, we got to pay some bills.
Why not?
All right, we are here in the Bozart Ford Studios, and these are our amazing sponsors for today and the week and all those fun times. Bozart Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine, their goal is to make sure your time and experience buying a car is stress-free, fun, and enjoyable. Bozart is a family-owned Ford dealership that has been in business since 1949, a couple weeks before you were born.
Yeah, just a few.
Bozart Ford Lincoln has been a recipient of numerous dealer awards, including being ranked #1 automotive dealership in the nation by Dealer Rater. Bozart Ford also has won back-to-back President's Awards, which is the highest honor given by Ford Motor Company. Check them out today online at bozartford.com.
Powell Heating and Air Conditioning's dedication to customer service has been evident in everything we do. From the moment we answer your call until the time we leave your home, we are working to make you comfortable and confident about the care and service you will receive from Powell. With our fleet of 10-plus trucks and 15,000 square foot warehouse stocked with parts and equipment, we're ready to serve you around the clock. Emergency service always open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, including nights and weekends. It's a locally owned business for the past 39 years. That's like, not quite as old as I am either. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking for them, their phone number is 904-794-COOL, like us. Mm-hmm. That's 904-794-2665. And they service all heating and air conditioning brands.
All right. Solar Stick, Inc. Established in 2006, Solar Stick is a local portable power company proudly committed to American manufacturing, constant innovation, and creating jobs right here in St. Augustine. Solar Stick is focused on providing solutions for self-sufficiency, helps. There, I'm start. Why does
Take two.
Get me? Why does the Solar Stick get me?
I don't know. It's the ink. It's Solar Stick ink.
They are like my original spot. They were the first sponsor that agreed when we decided to do a radio show 13 years ago, and I still love their. Sorry, Steph. Sorry, Brian. I have to apologize to them every week. I don't know if this is good or bad for their read. All right, we're going to try that again.
It'll get their name recognition out there.
Solar Stick's focus on providing solutions for self-sufficiency helps users all over the world complete missions and saves lives. Solar Stick, changing lives, saving lives, and reviving American manufacturing. Whew. Sorry, guys.
You good? Okay.
That's terrible. That was terrible.
Deep breath?
Yeah.
All right. Experience the art of Italian dining at Saint, nestled in the heart of historic St. Augustine. From handmade pastas to rich risottos and indulgent tiramisu, every dish blends authentic Italian flavor with modern elegance. Sip a craft cocktail, savor seasonal ingredients, and enjoy breathtaking views from our second-floor balcony or rooftop patio, where you can take in the bayfront and even spot the lighthouse on a clear day. At Saint, every meal is a celebration. Join us and elevate your dining experience. Actually, they have an elevator, so that makes sense. Yeah, okay. So you can definitely elevate your dining experience. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. These are the guys that keep me out of trouble right here. Best CPAs in town, and we're talking about Aber, Kresge & Associates. They are a full-service local CPA firm with a team of skilled professionals dedicated to providing top-level service in the areas of tax compliance, planning for business, individuals, estates, and trusts. They also do audits, reviews, and other accounting services. If you need a business valuation, they are the best. They can do forensic analysis and litigation support. Give them a call at 904-460-0747. That's 904-460-0747. And not only do we have those guys, but we have these amazing sponsors. We got to give shout outs to Me Hands, Irish Pub,
Weather shirt yesterday.
A.D. Davis Construction, Land Title America, Kaiser's Deli and Market, A to Z Roofing, South State Bank, Anastasia Diner and Moultrie Creek Diner, Mr. Electric, that's one of our newer ones, Brightway Insurance, talked to Ashley today. They do an amazing job over there too. Coming in tomorrow, this is one of our sponsors, St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum and Anastasia Construction Group. I also talked to them today. Whew, I talked to a lot of sponsors.
Busy day.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, that means
good.
they were helping me out on other ways too. So,
Right.
all right. On this Tuesday, we have a very special guest, and she wears a lot of hats. Figuratively, not like me, literally.
Right.
But Teresa, we've known each other for a long time.
Yes, we have.
I appreciate you coming in, and you have a really big event coming up at the end of June. And if you would, please tell our audience about Epic and about Big Brothers and Big Sisters. And that is a really vague question, so you can do with it. You can do with it as you wish.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me come in and be with you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. And yes, so a lot of people don't know, or they've heard of Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I'm with Big Brothers Big Sisters of St. Johns County, but I'm also with Epic Behavioral Health Care. And so you might think, well, how does that work? So our Big Brothers Big Sisters of St. Johns County is a full affiliate member of Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. And we started in 1982 here in St. Johns County. But by the early 90s, I wasn't around here at the time, but by the early 90s, it was struggling. And so with National's assistance and approval, we approached Epic and said, hey, can we come under your umbrella and be a program of Epic? And at that time, a really big study had just come out about Big Brothers Big Sisters, that children who were in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program were less likely to use drugs or alcohol. And so Epic is all about substance use and mental health prevention, treatment. And so it made perfect sense because they have a very active, as you know, Troy, back from the Prevention Council days, Epic has a very active prevention program. So in 1994, Big Brothers Big Sisters came under Epic's umbrella. So Epic is kind of like the fiscal agent. So we're still like every other Big Brothers Big Sisters around the country. We have our own board. We have our own budget. We follow standards from National, but we are under Epic's umbrella. So that's kind of how that works. So we do our own fundraising for Big Brothers Big Sisters. And so I'm excited to tell you guys today about our upcoming golf tournament. It's on Friday, June 27th. And it's the big summer fun scramble. And it's at the golf club at Southampton. So we're trying someplace new. We've not been there before, but they have been.
It's a beautiful course.
Oh, it really is. And they've been so welcoming. So welcoming. I'm so excited for it to be there.
I think that's a Mark McCumber course, the designer of it. So, local guy who was
done good, right?
He did good.
Yeah.
Did good
Local boy makes good.
And his designs are great.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is our fourth golf tournament that we've done, first time this time of year. So we're like, oh, should we have it in the summer? Well, golf courses don't close down in the summer. So obviously people play in June. So, and we've got some little surprises to help people cool off, but it's check in at 7:30 and then the tournament starts at 8:30 and breakfast is provided and lunch is provided. And there's a, closest to the pin contest and longest drive and a putting green. And we just have all kinds of fun things planned. So we want people to come golf with us.
And there's other ways if you're not a golfer and you're like, oh, I don't play golf, I don't know, but you can be a whole sponsor.
You can be a whole sponsor.
You can do other. There's a lot of sponsorship opportunities. And if you would, let's make sure. Can you give that website so Blake can put it into the comments so people can kind of have a reference to go back to. So if you can give that website out of how to become a participant in the sponsors.
So for either sponsoring or registering a team or registering yourself as an individual golfer, you would go to bbsgolftournament.com. Okay. And it has all the information there.
Yeah, that's easy enough.
Yeah.
Blake, do you grab that all that?
Yep.
All right. He's good like that.
Yeah.
So, and are you doing a silent auction also?
We are. We're having a silent auction. We're doing a 50-50 raffle. People can buy mulligans because, people like to buy mulligans. And we'll have some cool treats on the golf course itself so that, we're going to help people stay cool and hydrated. And And like I said, breakfast is served when you first get there, and then we'll have lunch at the end when we kind of announce the winners of the tournament and silent auction and the closest to the pin. We have prizes for all those, and we just really have a good time. Big Brothers Big Sisters people know how to have fun, so we are going to have a fun time for sure.
And Big Brothers Big Sisters, how do you have the numbers of how many Big Brothers and Big Sisters you have active right now in St. Johns County?
So this year we've made 75 matches, and we are always looking for bigs. And we actually can enroll children as well. So, I mean, sometimes we have a waiting list. Right now, our waiting list is really low. So and summer is such a great time to either enroll your child to receive a big brother or a big sister. And it's also a great time as a volunteer because it takes a little while as a volunteer. You go through our enrollment process, which is very extensive. We have a very in-depth interview. We do level 2 background screens. We do reference checks. There's a lot of different checks that we do just to make sure, right, that someone's doing it for the right reasons. And so if someone started doing that in the summer, then they would be really ready to go when school starts, which we have a very active site-based program, which is where the volunteer goes to the child's school and hangs out with them during lunch and recess. And they can go play sports outside, or they can sit in the library, or I'm a big sister and my little sister and I, we like to do crafts, or we like to play Uno, and she is a card shark. I mean, I don't play to lose, I play to win, and it really happens because she's very strategic in how she plays.
And this is a big question, and Blake, I think you know what I'm going to ask. They changed the rules on Uno. And you can't put a draw 2 on a draw 2, but I still play that you can put a draw 2 on a draw 2.
We do too.
Am I alone, or did
No.
Did you conform to the ridiculous new? Did you know they changed the rules?
I didn't.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why they would do that.
We can put a draw 2 on a draw 2, and we also don't like the card where you have to switch hands.
Oh,
we tossed that one.
I think our deck doesn't even have that.
So. Those ones are awful though.
But, they are.
But I do believe the draw 2 rule has always been a rule for Uno.
We just never played it that way.
We just never played like that.
Okay, I don't think anyone does.
I don't know anyone that does.
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I was wondering if I didn't qualify as a big because I didn't play that.
That's
rule.
right. Yeah, no cheating. You gotta teach these children proper card etiquette.
Yeah, exactly.
Short sleeves and don't stick an ace up one of your long sleeves.
Exactly. But years ago I had a big on and a little. I'm assuming that's what you call them, bigs and little, because I think that's what they called each other.
Yep.
Yeah, he's my little, he's my big.
Exactly.
And the little was, when I think of Big Brothers Big Sisters, I think of like a man with like a 7 or 8 year old, but this was a little who was like 15, 16 years old. So what's the age range for the littles?
Right. So what we do is we enroll children between the ages of 6 and 12, but the match can stay together till they're 18.
Okay.
And so we actually have a kind of a high number for us right now of littles that are in middle school and high school that they got matched when they were in elementary school.
Well, these guys have been together like 4 or 5 years.
So. Yeah. And we love that when that happens. We do ask for a year commitment if possible when someone signs up to be a big. And sometimes people are like, well, I couldn't be a role model. I know what I'm like at home. Or, I'm not a counselor or a preacher or a teacher. Well, good. We don't want you to be those things when you're a big.
You're being a big.
So I always say to people, can you show up on time? Can you be consistent? And can you listen? Boom. You are a fabulous candidate for a big.
You have qualified.
Yeah.
So you still got to pass a background check.
Yeah, you do.
What's the breakdown of the boys to girls? Because when I think of, and I'm sorry, in my mind, I know the ones that I've had contact with, and you said you have a little yourself. What's the breakdown of males and females out of that 75?
It's actually really close. It's like 52 to 48% females to 48% males. So, and sometimes that fluctuates. Sometimes we have more boys, but right now we currently have more girls. And what happens is so people are like, well, who signs their kids up? Well, a lot of parents do. And it's not because they feel like their kids are bad or they feel like they're being bad parents. Most of our kids either come from a single parent home or are being raised by a grandparent or another family member. And it's a great home, but the guardian or the parent just feels like they need an added layer of support. Maybe they're working multiple jobs. Maybe there's an illness going on. Maybe something is happening where they just feel like they can't do as much for or with their child as they would like to. So they can enroll them in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and that gives that child an opportunity to have an adult to confide in or to be friends with that can maybe help them do some things that maybe the family can't do, go fishing or go to the movies or whatever they decide to do. It's just fun activities, but there's a lot of caring that goes into that. And there was a study recently that said for resiliency, for children to really develop resiliency, I have such a hard time with that word, they really need a caring adult. So when someone becomes a big brother or big sister, they're not only being a friend to that little, but they're helping them develop that R word that I have trouble saying, resiliency. Thank you. And so when stuff does happen, they can handle it better. And we already know that kids who are mentored are less likely to use drugs and alcohol. And they're also from Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. There was a study that was just done about the economic impact that mentoring has. Like children who are mentored are more likely to go to college. Children who are mentored earn like 15% more than children who are not mentored. So there's a lot of ripples that go out there, and it's fun. One of the things that we do, like when we match a big and a little, we've talked to that little and we found out about their interests, kind of what kind of personality they are. Are they kind of quiet? Are they kind of loud? Do they like to run around? Do they like to sit? Do they like to go outside and play? They want to sit inside, play board games. So we learn all that about them. And then when we're talking to the big, we're finding out about them too. Are you comfortable with a child that loves sports, or is that like, no, not your thing? And so we do make that initial match based on some common interest, because it can be hard. I mean, I'll be honest, when you first get matched with a kid, sometimes you're looking at the kid and they're looking at you and you're like, what have I done? But because we match with that common interest, you start off with that.
You
So
have that connection.
yeah.
To start.
And so like with my little and I, we've been matched a year and a half. And so when we first started, I knew she liked crafts. I like crafts. So I'd bring her craft. And, when your hands are busy kind of doing something, then it's sometimes easier to talk. It's not like we're sitting there staring at each other. Tell me your deep, dark secrets. We're just having fun together. We're having a good time together. And maybe I'm introducing her to things like about college or education or things that maybe she has not heard at home. So it kind of opens those horizons as well. So being a big is fun. It's really fun.
And Teresa, where do these afternoons take place as a rule?
Well, if you're in the community-based program, which is when you go out and do stuff out in the community, you work that out with the family. So a lot of our bigs get together on weekends. Okay. Some of them, like during the school year, might pick their little up from school and they might go grab a bite to eat and then go play putt-putt, different things like that. One of my favorite things that a match used to do was they would go around the night before garbage day and they'd find furniture that had been put on the curb, and he was teaching his little how to refurnish.
Rebecca would love that.
Job skills, for sure.
My girlfriend that's what she does. And she just absolutely, that's her therapy.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
And a parent recently told me that she had asked her son's big to kind of start teaching him stuff that she really couldn't, like how to change your oil, how to change the tire, how to check the tire. And the little loved it, spending time with the big, working on the car, learning this and learning that. So what a lot of bigs tell us is that it just becomes part of their routine. It's not like it's hard to find the time. What we ask community-based folks to do is several hours a month, get together 2 or 3 times a month for a couple hours and hang out and do stuff together. And then with site-based, that's during the school year. So the little is at school and the big goes like during their lunchtime or during recess. You don't have to eat the school lunch. You can just go hang out with them during that time. And, all the schools kind of give us a place to go. So the kid, the little gets their lunch. You go to the space, and while they eat, you can chat, and then you do whatever activity that you're going to do.
Is there a referral that's involved, like at any time? I mean, or is it pretty much just parents are reaching out and finding big brothers, big sisters, or grandparents? I know,
that happens a lot, but then we also get a lot of referrals from the school themselves. We have a partnership with them, and they know kind of like what the eligibility requirements are. We're not, unfortunately, able to take children with severe behavior issues or things like that because our volunteers just aren't prepared for that. Right. So it's usually children who maybe, for the school referral, it's usually kids who maybe aren't doing as well in school as they probably should be. And so
not meeting their potential.
Yeah, they're not meeting their potential. And so Big Brothers, Big Sisters, that's actually a tagline that we have, is that we're defenders of potential. We're igniters of potential. So yeah, that's a big part of it, help build that confidence, help them. I mean, I'm not academic, but sometimes we'll do like a reading exercise or things like that to help my little. So, but it's fun. It's like the best part of my week. Really it is.
In the school year, do the bigs talk to the teachers of the littles to find out what they might need help with in mentoring?
They absolutely can. But one of the things that we do before we even make the match is we've talked to the teacher. And so when we first make a match, we have a meeting with one of our staff and then the big and the little, and we all sit down and we go over some ground rules like, little brother, you can't ask your big brother to bring you McDonald's every week. That's not part of it. You can never, ever go off school grounds. And then, we learned, little brother, that sometimes you have trouble in math. So big brother, maybe you can help him with that or chat with the teacher, or little brother, you can tell your big if you've got a big test coming up and he can help you study. So we make sure all that's known beforehand. Yeah.
And I'm just seeing personalities to personalities. I'm sure there's times where the big doesn't exactly click with the little, or the little doesn't click with the big. And the big comes to you and says, "Hey, I still want to be a volunteer, but I'm not reaching the potential with this young lady or young man." How do you handle something like that? Because I'm sure it's tough for the big who's like, "Gosh, I'm just not getting through this kid. Maybe somebody else will better."
Right.
I mean, I would be like crushed if I was matched up with a kid and I just couldn't connect with them.
Right.
But I'm sure it has to happen, right?
It does happen sometimes. Our staff actually do a super job though of making those matches. We were at a match meeting the other day, and the little brother just was looking in amazement at his big brother, and he says, "You're just a grown-up version of me," And so it's like,
perfect.
That was well done.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the hallmarks of Big Brothers Big Sisters of America is our professional match support, case management. So we have a prescribed schedule of when we contact. So within 2 weeks after that first match meeting, we're talking to you. How's it going? What do you think? What happened? Are they talking to you? Or are they not talking to you? We're talking to the little. Hey, how was it? Do you feel comfortable? Anything bothering you? We talk to the parent. What did they come home and say? So we know kind of from the get-go if it's a little rough beginning, and then we're in constant contact. And so we provide coaching, we provide role modeling, we provide ideas. And so it's not often that we have to close a match because that's happening because we've done a lot of the preemptive work ahead of time. But if that happens, we're just really straightforward with people because it's a learning experience for the little. Your big brother really enjoyed being with you, but it seemed like there was a little bit of disconnect. Do you think that's true? And usually they're like, they get it. I mean, they know. So we think that we would like to try and find a different big brother for you that maybe you feel more comfortable with, and maybe a different little brother for your big that they feel more comfortable with. And it doesn't have to be awkward. It doesn't have to be upsetting. I mean, sometimes it can be, but usually if we handle it right, it's just, okay, that was a bump in the road. And now we're going to, try again.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But you have 2 roles. Now the other one is with Epic. So can you explain to us about Epic when it came to St. Augustine? I kind of think I know a little bit of the history of it. Early on with some of the Teen Alliance, going back to those days. But can you explain what Epic is? And Epic's grown. I mean, just it's a beautiful growth in St. Johns County. But can you explain what Epic does and some of the main roles of Epic?
Yeah,
there's so many. I don't think we can get to all.
I don't even know if I can keep track of all of them all.
Yeah.
So Epic was founded in St. Augustine in 1973.
Oh, wow. That's
so 2 years ago, we celebrated our 50th anniversary, which for a nonprofit is pretty darn amazing. Yeah. And we were really small. And it was founded by concerned citizens. And what they were concerned about was drug use by adolescents. So it really kind of started off being concerned about drug use from adolescents. So right from the get-go, there's been a substance use factor to it. But almost right away, mental health counseling came into it too, because a lot of times the two go hand in hand. And then we figured out, well, you can't just work with the kids because sometimes it's a family issue. So then we kind of started seeing everybody. So when we first started off, we were called Jam House. I don't know how they came up with that name, but we were called Jam House. And then we changed to Drug Education and Prevention Center because that was a little bit more clear, because what the heck does Jam House do, right? You make jam. So then we became Drug Education and Prevention Center, kind of expanded our services, had like the Teen Alliance Center like you were talking about, and a lot of different alpha and different programs like that. A lot with kids and families. And then we became Epic Community Services. And at the time that we became Epic Community Services, we didn't even think about an acronym. We're like, oh, look at the definition of EPIC. It talks about a heroic journey and overcoming obstacles and this, that, and the other. And that's what the people that we serve are doing, because we had really expanded more into substance use then. And it's hard. It's hard work. It's hard work overcoming a substance use problem. So, and then a few years later, we were like, duh, EPIC, education, prevention, intervention, counseling. And so we kind of gave ourselves an acronym, and then we became Epic Behavioral Healthcare a few years
the
later.
name was before the acronym.
Yeah.
The acronym did not create the name.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Isn't that
very
funny?
cool.
Yeah.
So how long have you been with Epic and Big Brothers and Big Sisters? When did you start?
I started in 1998, so in September it will be 27 years.
Wow.
But Epic does a lot with substance use and mental health. And so we have outpatient counseling for both substance use and mental health, and we see ages 4 and up. We have inpatient for substance use. We have a 24/7 detox center and 30-day residential center. We have sober living. So we have a sober living home. So if someone is getting out of detox or getting out of residential and they don't have a safe place to go, safe meaning away from temptations or away from triggers or things like that, and they're just really serious about the recovery, they can come live at the sober living home. And we have a men's house and a women's house. There's rules. They have to have a job or be going to school. They have to pay, like a rent type thing, and they are drug screened. So it's still a lot of
Supervision.
a lot of supervision, but they are also living independently and learning how to live independently. We have medication management. So if someone needs, and we have psychiatric care. So if someone needs some type of medication or they feel like they need to have a psych evaluation, we offer that as well. We have a lot of programs or like teams. Like we have a team that goes into the jail and works with inmates who have a substance use or mental health issue. We provide the treatment for drug court, and we've done that since its inception. So if someone has been sentenced to drug court, their treatment component is done at Epic. We have a program with the hospital where if someone is in the hospital because of an overdose, we go and talk to them about, hey, what's going on? What happened? And try to get them to come to Epic. And so they already know somebody, sort of that warm handoff. A lot of our programs have peers, which are people with lived experience, which has been like a game changer. I mean, the counseling is important. It works. But then when you have your counselor on one side and you have a peer who's like, man, I really do know, because let me tell you a little bit about my story, then that is just so impactful on the folks that come to our services. And we also do crisis response. So we are the mobile crisis response team for ages 26 and up. So if someone is in a suicidal crisis or a crisis and they call either 988 or 911 and they determine that an intervention is needed, our team goes out. We also have a co-responder who rides with a sheriff's officer to mental health calls. And so those have been amazing in like reducing Baker Acts and reducing incarceration because of a mental health concern, but instead getting that person to treatment. So we now have several locations. We started off really small on Orange Street, and then we were somewhere else, and then we were on Riberia. So we have our main office where admin is and Big Brothers Big Sisters is, and our outpatient mental health is over on Old Dixie Highway, where we've been since 2000. But we have an office just over there on Lewis Speedway right next door, 3910 Lewis Speedway. We have an office in Bunnell, so we have a Flagler County office as well. Our detox center is on US 1 South, and we are getting ready to open another outpatient office in Palencia that will open July 1st.
All right. And when I met you, and I associate, Epic with the time that I was with you guys on the Prevention Council board, and there were some great people on that board, and we were able to start like Ancient City Kids Day, which is still going on today,
Right.
which is beautiful.
Yep.
It's still happening today. Do you still have some of that community interactions with the different mental health providers and some of the drug addiction providers. And I'm sure it's changed quite a bit because our county has changed
Right.
so much.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I was on that board from like 92 to like 90, probably about the time you started, 99, 90, 98. How do you engage with those leaders the way you used to, since we've grown so much? And if you took someone from every place now, the room you'd need a bigger room.
Yep.
So.
And we do. So now there's the St. Johns County Behavioral Health Consortium, which was started by Patty, who used to be our CEO, and Skylar, who's the CEO of SES. So, and they meet at one of the county buildings where there is room for 100 people. And so that's really what happens. And so they kind of do the surveys now about the need both for adolescents and kids as well as adults, and, relay information to the county about what the community is telling us that they need and what we're seeing. And they also have like a subgroup of agencies that work primarily with adults and a subgroup of agencies that work primarily with children to kind of focus on those issues. So that really has become what the Prevention Council was. Yeah. And so that way we're all still able to connect with each other and make sure we all know what we are all doing and work together to help the folks.
Teresa, have you found over the course of time, seeing as from when you started to where we are in the world today, so much has changed. There's so much instant gratification, or children on their phones, and the mental health aspect of staring at your phone for 8 hours a day instead of doing anything else like breathing outside fresh air, has really started to change behaviors and people's brains to a large degree, I'm pretty sure. Have you found that that's affected some of the children in the program, or is there a greater need for more oversight for either from the behavioral aspect of it or in the Big Brothers Big Sisters programs?
So I do know that for the clinical side of EPIC, we have seen an increase in children and adolescents coming in with anxiety and depression. And I think a lot of that is tied back to phones, social media, the pressure, all of that. So we are definitely seeing an increase in that. With Big Brothers Big Sisters, some of our families, more of our families, I guess I should say, are having challenges than maybe they used to when they would start. So one of the reasons why I really love being part of EPIC is instead of saying, oh, you have an issue going on here, call this number, I can say, oh, let's walk down the sidewalk. Let's go see who's available and see what we can do. And so definitely, and EPIC also has a really strong suicide prevention program. We do suicide prevention training. We have 3 free classes that we offer to anybody that wants them. And so, we are seeing, there's been studies done that adolescence and suicide, especially adolescent girls, is really gotten traumatically high. So that's been a big issue. And I think part of that ties to the whole phone and
social
media and all that. And yes, definitely bullying. Yeah. So we definitely have seen an impact. And so we just try to be available. We see the youth, we see the families. We just try to be there for whoever comes in through our doors. But yes, I definitely think that has been an impact.
Unfortunately, it's a growth industry, and wouldn't it be nice if it wasn't?
Right.
Wouldn't you like?
If we could work ourselves out of a job.
Yeah,
that's right. We talk about that all the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, used to, if we Baker Acted someone here, they would have to be shipped out of the community. Is that still a thing, or do we have a facility now that can manage and handle? Because I think that was kind of heartbreaking to me, but back 25, 30 years ago,
right?
If you had somebody really in a bad position,
right,
they had to get shipped to Jacksonville.
Right.
We weren't taking care of them here.
Yeah.
So but that's changed now? It
has changed for adults. Okay. So adults, they can go to UF Flagler and they have a receiving facility there. For children or adolescents, I think that's still up in Jacksonville. I don't think the center here right now is taking in children, but I feel like there's conversations about changing that.
Yeah, we need to try and work on that.
Yeah.
But that was kind of one of those heartbreaking things.
Oh, for sure.
Let's take care of our own, and we can't. We're telling them we're here for you, but now we're going to ship you away.
Right.
And to me, that was heartbreaking in itself, right there. So that's wonderful to hear.
Right.
Well, like I was mentioning, we do the adult mobile response, but SES does for children for 25 and under, and they have also seen the same results we have where Baker Acts have decreased. So if we can get a mental health counts out there right in the middle of the crisis and de-escalate, and work with them, come up with a safety plan with the family for them to then, be seen the next day, or that's assuming it's at night, or seen right away. Then a lot of times they don't have to go into a Baker Act facility, which solves that problem of having to go out of county.
Yeah, we used to. This is how where we were at and where we are now. We had Catalina's Gym. We had you guys on Orange Street, and we had Cez on Saragossa, which is literally like in a one block circle, and all of us were in that one circle. And the way Skylar has taken Cez to a different level, you guys have taken you and Patty have taken Epic and Big Brothers Big Sisters to a different level. I mean, it's really exciting to for somebody who's been here for a long time and see the services that we can provide right now, even though we're probably still behind on what services we need. But none of that existed 30 years ago if it's not for Cez and if it's not for Epic.
Okay, so now for those unfamiliar like myself, what is Cez?
Cez is St. Augustine Youth Services.
Okay.
So they handle
that's a broad umbrella.
Yeah. But they handle a lot of the youth side that she was talking about. And they have a facility down behind the library near 206.
Is that a municipal organization through the city?
Nope. Nonprofit. Same
as Epic.
Same.
And
So
Big Brothers.
they rely on donors and golf and golf tournaments that are on June 27th.
That's
There you
right.
go.
What is there something that you really want to this is the time to brag. This is the time to say here's why you should be helping these two organizations. Is there something we left off that we should be talking about right now for this show, and how can we help you get that word out?
So for Epic, last year, Epic served over 6,000 people. And we have really started doing a lot of focus on outcomes. And we were at a staff meeting today, and our new CEO, Nanji, was telling us that, clients get to, with some of our outcome things, clients get to give us feedback. And the feedback is overwhelmingly positive that Epic has changed, if not saved, their lives. And so substance use and mental health disorders are diseases. That means they're preventable and they're treatable. And so if someone is watching and they're concerned about themselves or they're concerned about someone else, there is help, and we are there for you. So, and one of the things I didn't mention is we've kind of changed our access center to be access services. So no matter what campus you go to, if you go in a crisis, you'll be seen. So and that's important, because making that decision to get help can be really, really difficult. You can feel embarrassed, or you can feel like my family is going to get mad at me, or whatever it is that you might feel, but we are there. So we are there. So I want people to know that if they're struggling, please don't struggle by yourself. Please let us come, let us help you. And then for Big Brothers Big Sisters, every day I am so fortunate to hear the parents talk about the changes in their children's lives. We had one little who really was going to end up in juvie. He really was. And now he wants to be a police officer. We had one little sister who would not even look people in the eye, and she tried out for Winter Guard this year. These are life-changing changes for adolescents, and it's just showing up and being there. I mean, the Bigs weren't miracle workers. They just listened. They supported. They encouraged. They said, you can do it.
Like you said, they ignited. I like that word, ignited. You said it earlier. I think that's a perfect word.
Yeah. So when you support Big Brothers Big Sisters, you're changing children's lives. Seriously, you are. And you can be a big. Like I said, show up, be on time, be consistent. You can do it. So we always want to sign people up to volunteer. It's such an amazing experience. So if someone wants to volunteer, they can call us at 904-829-9986. And if they're like, now's not the right
say
time.
That one more time,
sure.
So Blake can put it in the comments.
904-829-9986. And if someone's like, well, I need to think about that, well, call us and just talk to us about it. Let us tell you more about it, and then you can kind of simmer over it. But if you know that right now you can't volunteer, but you want to support, then, consider, if you're a golfer, come to our golf tournament. We're trying to fill it up. We would love to fill it up. Or if you would like to learn more about how to make another kind of donation or support us in other ways, you can call that phone number, and we would be glad to talk to you.
All right, a little darker portion of where you're at with Epic, fentanyl and that epidemic, or what's happening, because on our homeless side, we've lost several homeless to fentanyl, whether it was accidental or not. How much is that playing into what's happening with Epic and some of the, I mean, this, if they survive it, you're trying to get them back. I mean, sometimes, the outcome's not what you,
Right.
and it's sometimes, they're buying something on the street. They don't know what it is, and they're
Yes.
not here tomorrow.
Mm-mm.
So how is fentanyl playing into the role of Epic over there? Cause I mean, you guys have your pulse on this.
Right.
And I'm just wondering how are you managing that trend right now, which is very scary.
Yeah. One of the ways that we have done that is we've grown our judicial programs.
Okay.
So when I mentioned that we had a program in the jail, we actually have several programs in the jail, and we're also in the Flagler County Jail.
Okay.
So and then that warm handoff at the hospital bridge program I was mentioning, those are some of the ways we've responded to that. Some of the folks who are dealing with fentanyl end up in jail, right? So we go talk to them. They get screened. We talk to them. They can do drug court. They can do psych. They can do JET. We have several different programs kind of based on, is it more mental health? Is it more substance use? That's how they get put into those programs. Same with, and then we also have the SMART programs. It's like 4 programs. And then again, if they overdose, we go see them. We go talk to them. And those programs grew and were originated because of the whole fentanyl opioid crisis, that we knew we had to do more. We had to have more in place to reach out to people. And so that's part of how we have responded to that.
Also, something when you started probably was not as big a component as it is now, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
And there's a second, feather in that hat, and I don't mean that in necessarily a good way, except for the fact that, children, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old children think they're indestructible. And if they don't have the life experiences or somebody to explain to them that, they could be at the top of a very slippery slope if they're not careful, because, no 16-year-old kid thinks they're going to die of AIDS or that they're going to OD, and smoking a little marijuana is just okay because all my friends do it. It's not the right answer. And you've got to be able to, people need to be able to get communicating to children at that age and let them know that there's a lot of risks and a lot of risky behavior that, you don't get second chances sometimes.
Right.
And that's just horrible.
Right. Right. So one of our programs through our prevention unit is called Think for Success. And it's for students in the school district who have been caught using on campus or at a school sanctioned event or caught with paraphernalia. And so they can either be expelled or they can come to Think. So a lot of them come to Think. And it kind of talks about that, like, okay, these are the choices you're making, but let's be really clear and honest. We're not passing judgment. We're just presenting the facts to you.
These are true.
This is where it can go.
This is true.
And this is, this is how we back it up. This is how we know. And it has had amazing results of kids turning it around. And it's not a scare factor. It's just, the facts are scary.
It's scary,
but it's
yes.
facts. It's not us, doing a scared straight type thing. It's just, you're making the choice. We can't stop you. We realize that, but let's be really clear that you're walking into this with your eyes wide open. And so a lot of times they go the opposite direction. So that's been a very successful program.
It's so good to hear. It really is, because, that's the age you need to get to the youth of America today. And, again, we come back to the instant gratification or the instant communication of a cell phone in everybody's hand. It just makes it much more difficult because the peer pressure and the bullying and whatever else is going on, it's hard to combat that. It really is, from a mental health perspective, from an abuse perspective, a substance abuse perspective. There's just so much going on out there in the world today.
Right.
It's not a lot easier for adults, in all honesty. So, so when you bring that down to children whose, their behaviors haven't been finished, fleshing out, their brains haven't finished growing, it's just really important for them to understand where they are in the food chain, so to speak, as they're going. Yeah.
And you bring up a great point, because even if a family is not having some of the struggles we've already talked about, just the world today is
exactly.
You're edgy. You're on, thinking what's going to happen next. And even if you're not talking about it to your children, they're sensing it.
Yeah.
And so we also have parenting programs. So if someone's out there like, I don't even know how to handle this world with my kid, I wish someone, could give me some tips. Well, we can. We have that
We'll
as
do
well.
our best.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit because I think it's very important. The drug court. Why is drug court necessary? And can you define, like, in a small, brief description of what drug court is different from the regular process? So, because I don't think people, we mentioned it a couple times. I don't think people, we have veterans court that we're very involved in with Veterans Village, but drug court is very important to help some of these guys not go further away from the center.
Right. So drug courts, the folks that are quote unquote sentenced to drug court are those that have like misdemeanor drug charges. So, and a lot of times they're maybe been arrested once, maybe been arrested twice. Maybe they're stealing to support their habit. So it's like that. They're just started going down that path. And there was a realization that locking them up is probably not going to make a big difference because when they get released, they're just going to go back to it. So for those folks, they can be sentenced to drug court, and it really is a team approach. It's Epic doing the treatment, but sitting at the table and they meet like weekly is the judge. Judge Alexander is the drug court judge. So Judge Alexander, someone from probation, someone from the state's attorney's office, someone from the public defender's office, Epic. They're all sitting around a table, and they're working really tightly with this person. Like, this is a chance for you to turn your life around and not spend the rest of your life in jail. So it's like a year-long program, and it's very intensive in terms of drug screens. They come to Epic like 2 or 3 times a week for both individual and group. And it's not just counseling, it's also life skill training. And so you think you need that to survive, but what if you don't have it? Let's talk about what life's like without your drug of choice. And so it's a lot of educational. There's phases, and they have to meet certain requirements to get from phase 1 to phase 2. And drug court's at a different campus than where I am now, but it used to be on the same campus, and I could watch someone drive in and tell you what phase they were in, because they would drive in, music blaring, kind of squeal in, walk out the hat backwards, and just kind of strut inside. And then I could tell if it was phase 4, and they just kind of drove in like, a mature adult and parked, and grabbed their stuff and walked in. It was just amazing to just even see, that could tell you a difference. But I don't know the exact rate, but it reduces recidivism by major amount, like in the upper 80s, 90% of people who go through our drug court program. So there's people who are starting to go down that path that was going to lead them to like a lifelong jail sentence probably. And so we get them into drug court. They get mental health treatment. They get substance use treatment. They get coaching by this team. They're all cheering for them to make it. And then they have to pass these drug screens. They have to do this, and then they graduate drug court, and there are graduation ceremonies. And so it really
How long
is.
has drug court been around? I think Judge Mathis was one of the first ones that I remember
It
being
just
involved in. And now Alexander, I love him.
Right.
His kids grew up in our rec program, so.
I'm pretty sure they celebrated their 20th anniversary a few years ago. So they're like in their mid-20s that it's been around.
Very
It is an amazing program.
Have you found that amongst the teenagers in particular that you deal with, either behaviorally or big brothers, big sisters, and I would think it'd probably be dramatically less in big brothers, big sisters because of the mentoring and the fact that there's somebody, with them frequently. Has alcohol abuse diminished, yet drug abuse increased?
Alcohol is still the top. It really is. And I was actually talking to prevention staff the other day, and what they're seeing a lot more of, which is very worrisome because people, including parents, think it's safer as vaping.
Yeah.
But vaping, you don't know what's in that vape.
Right.
So that's something that has them really, really concerned is the vaping. But alcohol still, really for adolescents and adults, that still manages to be the number one abused drug.
I think it would be a challenge now because every manufacturer and their brothers are coming out with, alcohol iced tea or alcohol lemonade or alcohol seltzer. It's so user friendly, unfortunately, and flavored.
Now there's a mixture of both. There's a
and
drink.
And the
drinks
THC.
with the THC.
Right, exactly.
So it's
There was, now there's, peach flavored water with THC in it. It's just water. I don't quite understand it. It's not a seltzer. There's not a bubble. It's just, it's just another delivery mechanism is what it's come down to, unfortunately.
Right.
And they're pervasive. I mean, you look in the supermarket now and the shelf space for all those coolers and those, and now half of them have vodka in it and half of them don't. And some of them are malt beverages and some of them are god awful and some of them are pretty tasty. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a tough battle to convince people that those can do damage, especially in quantity.
Yeah. In the Think for Success program, one of the things they also spend some time on is how they're marketed to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
These sellers of this drink don't really care that you have a great time and popular. They just want your money.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They don't care that you could possibly get addicted and die. They just want your money. And so part of what they do is they go through some of the tricks that marketing firms or the companies use. And that really opens up the eyes a lot. And, because no one likes to be fooled or tricked or anything like that. And so to realize how they're manipulating you, that's very eye-opening.
All right. I want to get back to Big Brothers and Big Sisters because that's why you're here. Again, let's repeat. The golf tournament is on June 27th. Mm-hmm. Blake, if you would drop that in the website and again in the comments. And what's the best way for them to reach out to get a hold of you or the tournament director? Who is that person that is best? Raise your hand.
That'd be me.
Yeah.
Right. Which hat are you wearing right now, Teresa?
A golf visor.
See? Well done. Well played.
So if someone needs to ask questions and or wants to get more information, they can reach out by calling 904-829-9986, and I'm extension 1. Just press extension 1. But if they know, hey, I want to go play in that golf tournament, they can go to the website, the bbbsgolftournament.com, and it's all set up where you can do everything online. You can put the names of your team members on there. You can make your payment. Everything is online. But if someone has questions, absolutely reach out for sure.
Right. Is there anything you need from the golf tournament, like just players, or you need auction items, or all the above? It's
So definitely want players. We would really like to sell it out this year. We haven't had a sellout. We didn't have a sellout last year, and it was fun when we had a sellout. So it'd be really cool to get some more teams. We are putting together a really cool silent auction display, I guess, or items. But if someone is listening out there like, oh, I have a product or a service that I really like to get in front of golfers, maybe we're still taking silent auction items. So certainly people could reach out for that, and we could do that. And like you mentioned, we still have whole sponsors. And so if you want to get your name on the golf course on a pretty sign that has your company logo and all that, again, they can do that through the website, or they can call me directly.
Do you have a direct donation on the website also, like a donation tab that they can? Because I'm a guy I'm an easy target as long as you make it easy for me to be a target.
Right. So the golf tournament website is really just for the golf tournament.
Okay.
It would have to be tied into something. But if you go to bbbsstjohns.org, we do have a donate button.
You got
there.
that button.
And mm-hmm.
And if anybody at home has a spare Picasso or Manet at home, feel free to put it into the silent auction. I think it would be very appreciative.
Right.
And then I'm just going to cross out everybody else's name and put mine down there.
But appreciate you coming in.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And I got to say a special thank you out to James with Fidus, because he's the one who said, "Hey, you really need to get Teresa." I was like, "All right, send me and he sent me the flyer, and that's when we reached out."
Yeah, we appreciate James so much.
Yeah,
Fidus comes. He lets his crew come volunteer at the golf tournament. Mm-hmm. So there's Fidus guys out there carting tables, putting stuff around. They are amazing.
Awesome. So some of your other board members, some of your board members, if you want to shout them out.
Zach Alfont is our current chair, and Christy Opsel, who's an attorney here in town, Kim Fader with Ancient City Accounting, and Heidi Rugg, who's with Ring Power.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great crew.
They are a great crew.
You do such good work, and sadly, we talked about it earlier, there's such a need for it. So, as long as people keep doing it, it's only going to make the world a better place and, as you said, save lives, which is, bottom line, what's really important.
That's right.
Blake, do we have any questions online that we haven't asked? I've been trying to keep an eye on it.
I've not seen any other questions here, so
Okay. I think I tried.
I believe you asked all of them, so that's been online so far.
Yeah, I think I tried to grab the ones that I could. But again, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck on the 27th. We'll continue to shout it out
Okay.
on the morning show, which we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. James asked us to do that, so
That's great.
He gave up a portion of his ad space to make sure you guys were getting the right the right reach out there.
That's
So,
awesome.
all right.
So, thank you both.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Blake.
Absolutely. Very nice to meet you.
All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow night. We have with us Cindy Stavely coming in, and she'll be talking about the Colonial Quarter and the St. Augustine.
Arr, matey.
Yes. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.